All right. Well, we are about a minute past the hour, so I am going to go ahead and get started. Thought it'd probably be just to mention, at some point I am going to turn my camera off here just so I can save some bandwidth while I'm talking. But wanted to welcome you all for joining us tonight, and thank you for taking the time out of your day or your night to come check out the webinar. So today I'm actually going to be starting telling you a little bit about how you can drive engagement with widgets, pop-ups, and site flavors. So I'm going to actually start today's presentation with a pretty shocking fact, okay? It only takes about 0.05 seconds for a user or an average web user to decide if they're going to stay or leave on a website. That's 1/20th of a second. You know, as a society, we tend to judge a book by its cover, but in this case, we're judging a brand by its web design. So this particular presentation, we want to ask the question, so how do we actually grab a user's attention and keep them wanting more? And so we're going to actually accomplish this through engagement. So some of you are probably like, what is engagement? How does this apply to me? So user engagement is actually defined as how well a site is able to delight and retain its visitors, encouraging them to take kind of actions, navigating additional pages, purchasing products, or even interacting with site features. So your site's engagement factor actually has a direct influence on your school's growth. So in order for you to grow your school, you're going to actually need to design a website that is going to engage your users and encourage them to read, interact, subscribe, and purchase your courses. So easier said than done, right? But don't worry, LearnWorlds is actually here to help. So for those of you who are not familiar with LearnWorlds, we're an all-in-one platform that allows for the creation, selling, and hosting of your online courses. So we're essentially an e-learning business in a box. And we've helped thousands of organizations create their online schools. So this can really be anyone from an individual who's looking to monetize their skill set to even a large corporation who just wants to train their employees internally. So let's take a look at how LearnWorlds can actually help you engage your users like never before. And I think before I get too deep into this, I probably should introduce myself. So my name is Brett Hamilton. I'm part of the customer success team here at LearnWorlds, and I'm actually joined by a couple members of our support squad as well. So during the presentation, if you have any questions, please just leave them in the chat window or the Q&A function. Our team will go ahead and respond to you. Now, just remember, there are hundreds of you and there are only really about 1 or 2 of us. So please keep that in mind. Your questions will get answered. I promise you will get some type of answer to your questions. Also, there will be a recording of this webinar, and I'll actually have it sent out tomorrow. So you should all receive this in your email. So just be aware that there will be a recording coming your way as well. Now, I am going to go ahead and actually turn my camera off. And I know that some of you are probably disappointed and you don't want to stare at my face the entire time. But A, I want to save some bandwidth. And B, it just helps me kind of show the screen a little bit better because my main screen is over here. And I don't want to be looking over here while I'm talking to you over here. So just give me 1 second. I'm just going to deactivate that camera. Okay. So let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. So in today's presentation, we're actually going to deep dive into some of our platform's most engaging features for your school site. So we have a number of these features, things like calendar, which will help you showcase your school's freshly released content. We have animated counters, which will help you develop a site social proof and display data in not just a normal way, but like an eye-catching kind of way. We also have the typing effect widget, which we'll go over today as well. And this will actually allow you to kind of grab your user's attention rather than just having the basic text that just kind of sits there blankly. This will actually add a little bit of an effect to your text, and it helps them kind of, I guess, link it to their daily use of things like texts and emails and that sort of thing. So it adds a little bit more of that engagement factor. We'll also take a look today at tabs and accordions, pop-ups, and even site flavors. So each of these site components was actually built to help you retain visitors. But before we take a look at each of these, let's take a tiny step back and learn a little bit more about engagement as a concept. So Before we engage, we need to know who we're actually engaging with. So let's do a short exercise. I want you to think about the following questions and apply them to your current school. Who's likely to buy this? So who is likely to buy your courses? What do you want to know? What do they generally want to know before they buy something? So put yourself in your user's shoes here. So who out of the people are you targeting that are likely to buy? And what are they looking for before they actually buy a course? And then lastly, how do you want them to feel when they land on your site? What kind of a feeling does your website currently give off? What kind of feeling do you want your users to feel when they come? What's your brand? Right? So just keep these in mind as we're going through the presentation. These are really good questions to ask yourself and to think about as you start to build out your school. Okay, so next, let's just kind of take a look at this quick little checklist we've put together here. So I want you to ask yourself these questions as we kind of go through this. So does your site right now present a crystal clear message that is tailored to your audience? Okay. Do you highlight social proof? And some of you are probably asking, what is social proof? Social proof is proof that your courses are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Things like testimonials, reviews, things that are going to prove that your courses are legit. Personalized content for your audience. Are they already students? Have you changed the content based on your audience? So those who are not students and those who are students. Encourage interaction with your site via multimedia, and run special promos such as promotional offers, downloads, free courses, etc. Okay. So the LearnWorlds Site Builder is actually made to help you engage. So that level of engagement is already built into LearnWorlds. And tonight we're actually going to take a look at a couple of the different pieces that are built into the platform. We'll take a look at widgets. We'll take a look at pop-ups, site flavors, and a little bit more if we have some time, okay? So the first thing we're going to take a look at tonight is actually widgets. Widgets are actually components that add a level of functionality to your site. So there's no need for extra coding. If you're not a web developer and you're using LearnWorlds, that's fine. You don't need to know web development. We've actually built in a number of these widgets. They're going to help you engage your users and create some really dynamic websites. So the site builder comes loaded with all sorts of widgets to enrich your visitors' experience and increase your school's conversion rate. They're going to help you engage your users, help you build mailing lists, grow your school in a variety of different ways. So let's see the latest widgets we've actually released. Our dev team did an amazing job on these widgets, and we'll go through a couple of them so you can actually see how you can apply them and how you can actually apply these to some of the checkboxes we just took a look at a few slides ago. So I'm going to present 5 widgets to you right now. And first, we're going to go through the presentation of each one of these, and then I'll actually show you a quick live demo of each of those widgets. So the first widget we're going to take a look at tonight is actually the calendar widget. This is going to actually allow you to display live events, display your drip feed schedules, your content, even the file assignment deadlines. You'll be able to have these right on the page. They're interactive, and there's a number of different uses you can actually use these for. So the first thing you can do is actually showcase your school's freshly released content. So you can actually set up your calendar widget so that logged out users can see your upcoming events and enroll in them and enroll in the actual corresponding courses. And this will actually help you kill 2 birds with 1 stone. It'll actually help you engage new users and shorten your customer journey, because they can actually just click enroll and go right into that course and purchase that course based off of what you have here on their calendar. It will also help your students stay on track, and it will reduce the amount of dropouts that you have here. So one of my favorite things about the LearnWorlds calendar is you can provide almost like a dashboard experience for your students, and you can have that tailored by each, and you can actually tailor it to what each one of them sees. In fact, you can use the calendar widget to display all the upcoming events relevant to each user based on whether they're logged in or logged out. So depending on, if they're enrolled in the course, you can show upcoming live classes, upcoming drip feed sections, file assignment deadlines, and trial expirations. And it have some great, there's some great perks that go along with the calendar widget as well. It will help you reduce your efforts to send individual reminders to your students. So if you're out there sending emails to your students to let them know, hey, the assignment is due. Hey, the assignment is due. These will actually showcase, hey, listen, you have an upcoming assignment that is due on this date. It will help your students keep track of their activities and manage their time. Okay. It will also encourage course completion. So, this is a really crucial factor when it comes to fighting dropouts, right? As a user, when I come into my after login page and I take a look and I have a nice little calendar there, I can actually see all the upcoming live events. It's going to remind me about when things are due. It's going to remind me when the next level of content unlocks. So this is really important for your users to see. And lastly, one of the great parts about this too is, as I mentioned before, you have this enrollment button down here at the bottom. This is going to be flashing to your new users. So if I'm a new user, I come to your site and I see that you have an upcoming webinar. And I can quickly take a look at that webinar, go to that page, and I can enroll right from this calendar in that webinar series for a specific date that you have scheduled. So these are really important and great to use if you have any live events in your school. Okay, next we have animated counters. So these are going to help you with that social proof that I was talking about a little bit earlier. These are actually a nice way of displaying data and showcasing how your school is performing and what kind of performance it allows your students to do after they graduate, with showing some type of animation than just having a static, 90% of our students, go on to school. You can have a nice little animation with this. So they can show when your students are enrolled, how many students you have enrolled in the school. You can review your score on review sites with these. You can use these to display, course completion rates, hours of video content, how many instructors you have. It's just a nice way of putting some facts and some stats out there without just having a nice little static thing on your screen. Then we'll take a look at the typing effect. Now, again, this kind of plays on the fact that most of us these days, we text. And we use things like WhatsApp, we use things like Facebook Messenger, we use basic texting. I mean, the list goes on, right? Instagram messaging. And a lot of this stuff ties almost to a personal feeling that we get when we're using text. So this will actually help catch your user's attention other than just having some basic text. So you can see here, you can actually have a nice little rotating text here that's going to catch your user's attention. It's like a friend is texting you. It's going to give you that feeling of personal closeness, and it's a lot more captivating than just your basic text. And again, we will show you all these once I get through these slides here. Tabs. So these are here to help you organize correlated information so that you do not need to kind of have it on different pages. So it's going to introduce competencies covered in your school. You can use it to organize your About Us page, even display your instructor's bio, show different images, showcase student testimonials. Really, the list goes on. There's a lot that you can add out of these tabs. It's actually one of my favorite features. I was playing around with this the other day and just kind of trying out some different things that you can actually do with these. And it's great because you don't have to actually leave the page to get to different information. And as a student, I don't have time to wait for the page to load. I know that sounds terrible, but the fact of the matter is we have very short attention spans nowadays, and tabs are going to actually help shorten the delivery time of your information because, again, I'm not leaving a page to go to another page to find that information. I can just select a different tab. And then lastly, similar to tabs, we have our accordions here. So all of us are kind of familiar with that drop-down menu, right? We click and then a little bit more information is going to appear. These are really good for like FAQs, or if you're providing a lot of information and you want to take up as little space as possible. These accordions will help you do that, right? Because you can have a nice long paragraph about your security policy or about your school, and then you can actually have that collapse so the page is just a little bit more approachable. Not to mention, people just like clicking buttons here. So the accordion is going to help them, kind of get that feeling they like when they click it and they see a nice little animated drop down here. So let's go on and actually demo some of these. I know we looked at 5 different widgets here. Let's go ahead. I'm going to jump into the site builder. And I'm actually going to show you within the site editor how we can actually use some of these on our page. Now, what you are seeing here is our site editor. This is a demonstration site that I have thrown together for you, just kind of used for all my demos here. And what we'll do is we'll start adding some of these. So why don't we start with what we started with already? We'll start with the calendar. So for the calendar, I'm just going to add a quick little widget layout down here. Okay. And I have a nice little blank area here, and I'm going to drop a widget in here. So let's go here and add widget. And I'm going to come down here and add an event calendar. Okay. So the first thing is I have a couple different options, as usual with anything in LearnWorlds, that I can select from to showcase my events. So maybe I find something that, this looks good. Let's try that one. Now, the great thing about LearnWorlds too is that, you can always change the layout of what you got down in here. So you can always add additional, widgets and things like that you want. So when I click on one of these, actually, you know what? That's not the greatest example. Let me get another one of those. We'll just have a couple here so I can show you some different things here. There we go. So if I come in here and click here, there's a few different things that I can set up with these calendars. So the first thing, I can choose how these are going to show. Either a slider, which is going to have all the live events kind of slide here, or I can do a per load and have the ability to load additional live events if I'd like to. Or if you want, you can just showcase all the events that you have scheduled, right? So you might have a whole page called your calendar that a user can access, and then you can have just the calendar widget on that page, and you can show all the different live sessions and things that are due and everything like that on the entire page. It's really up to you how you want to display it. I personally like the slider. And when I come in here, the next thing I can do is actually choose between what my logged in users are going to see and what my logged out users are going to see. So that is going to actually allow me to deliver two different types of content, because most likely my logged out users, maybe they're not part of my courses already, right? So maybe I don't want to show my drip feeds to anyone who's logged out, or maybe I don't want to show file assignments to someone who's logged out, or even this trial expiration date. So I could just show the live sessions I have going on in my school. Now, as a user, again, if I'm viewing your school and I'm not logged in, I could see, hey, this actually looks really interesting. I'm going to click here. I'm going to go to that live event page, and I'm going to enroll in that particular course, okay? For users who are logged in, you can show your drip feed. So for those of you who are not familiar with what a drip feed is, and I keep mentioning it, a drip feed actually allows you to control the release of your content. So as an example, on day one, maybe section 1 of your content will be available. However, 7 days later, you're going to unlock day 2 or section 2. So you can actually control on what dates your content is released. So if you actually are able to display that to your students using these calendar widgets, it's going to make them it's going to engage them a lot better, because they're going to understand, okay, I know when I log in that my next level of content unlocks, on the 21st. So when I finish this first part of content, I'm going to come back around then, and then I'll have access to my new content. So it creates a little level of engagement there. It keeps me aware of what's going on in my course. And it's really nice to kind of display in your pages. Live sessions. Some of us have live sessions in our courses, whether it's just a basic, Zoom webinar or Zoom meeting, or some of us actually will sell webinars. I've seen schools create courses and sell it as an individual webinar. So you could have, and I think I did reverse that. I think someone just called that out. No, I apologize, Nikiko. So this is the logged in event, and this is the logged out. So I reversed that. So what I would want to do actually is have my live sessions or webinars actually shown to my students that are logged in, right? Or even logged out. If I wanted to showcase that I have an upcoming webinar, I could have that displayed here on my calendar so that somebody could potentially visit my site, be interested in joining that, and then go ahead and click enroll and actually purchase the course and enroll in that webinar. So calendars are nice because you can actually show what's happening in your school. All right, so let's now do a quick removal of the calendar widget and take a look at the next widget I want to display. And that is going to be, let's do it in threes here. That is going to be the counters. So as I mentioned, these are just really nice graphical ways of displaying certain metrics for your school. As an example, maybe you want to say something like 80% of my users go on to, graduate, graduate the some type of test, or 80% of my users go on and find employment, something along those lines. So you can actually have a nice little counter here. There's a couple of different little things you can set here. So you can set your prefix, you can set your suffix right as at 80%, convert to percentage or not. Show decimals if you want to show decimals. You can show the appearance here. So if you want to do a full circle or make it down, shrink it down to a little smaller one, you can choose some nice elements to this to give it a nice little look and feel. You can change the circle bar color and the background color. And then, of course, you can actually kind of mess with the animation here, right? So you can ease in, then it could go in a little slower. The animation duration, only animate the circle. So you have a couple options here, and you can kind of do a quick example or a quick preview of that. So that when you have a user, let's just take a look at it. Here's a user. You can display some nice little animated metrics here. So I want to save it. I'm sorry for the slowness here as I'm streaming as well. I'm not sure if that's going to let me with all this going on right now. Let's see. I thought turning my camera off would help, but let's see here. Edit page. I lost it. Okay, I'm just going to add a quick one here. And this is going to be a really big one, just as an example here. Let's go with the counter. I might shrink this one down. Okay. So as an example, what I wanted to show you, or my internet gave out on me here. There we go. This is a preview here of what this would actually look like to a user that is visiting the page. As you can see, it's a nice little animation here. You can have it repeat as the user scrolls through your page. But it's just a nice little animation to display things like, 70% of my students go on to find a job, or, we have thousands of different students here, like 40,000 students, 200 courses. It's just a nice way of displaying some different information on your site while grabbing the user's attention at the same time. All right, so let's move on to the next widget. So the next widget I want to take a look at is actually my favorite widget here. Actually, no, first we'll look at the text one first. So here's a nice addition to the platform as well. So instead of having just the basic text, and you can see it kind of in action down here at the bottom here. Instead of just having, the basic text here, you can come in here, and what happens is you will type like something here, and this could be, like test 1. Then we're going to put this little this icon here. So this little slash line here. Test 2 slash line and test 3. So you can see, no matter what I type there, it's going to have that cool little effect. Now, if you wanted to do something a little bit, more advanced, or like we've done down here at the bottom here, when you type something like, join us to Excel, right? And then you can do join us to be better. Join us to live. Just an example here. And then I go ahead and play that. You can see the text that I actually had there that copied the same when I wrote join us to, that's going to stay there. It's just the text that I changed in the long run that's going to remain. So again, it's a nice way to kind of display a nice message that's just not, static and boring. It's going to add a little bit of live and functionality to it. So again, it's going to grab your users' attention. It's going to help you engage your users. It's going to help them feel a little bit, more at home. Let's take a look now at tabs. So I'm going to add just another section here, and I'll add a tab into here. So again, this is my one of my favorite widgets that was recently added. Tabs are really cool because, again, it allows you to display a lot of information in a single little area, right? So you can have as many tabs as you want. You can actually use the tab order here to change the order. You can quickly change the labels here just by clicking on here and actually editing the text. And when you come back up into the tab menu here, you have the ability to add things like icons, for instance. So you can turn these icons on and off. You can have them display vertically, or you can have them at the start. It's really up to you on how you want to display the icons. And these can actually be changed too, just by coming in here and selecting from the number of icons we have here. But the great thing about tabs is once you have you've selected a tab, if I come down here and add a widget, something like, let's say, an image. Actually, let's just make it easy. We'll go with some of these animations up here at the top. I can grab an animation and I can drop it in here, right? Now I can go to tab 2 and add something like this animation, right? Tab 3 can add something like this animation. So you can add a lot of different content and just have them under the different tabs here. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be an image, right? It could be text. Like I could come in here and do like a title text here, right? And then underneath that, I might add something like, oops, I want to stay within the tab here. I might add something like some normal text to have a nice little description paragraph. I can add an image below that. So you can actually build out an entire page really that is simply just exists on that tab. I've seen some people create, I mean, we have our own product pages in LearnWorlds that will allow you to showcase different products and things like that you have. What I've seen some people do is actually create their own product images that they wanted to do their own little product cards and had some designers design their own product cards. And they've created a tab section that will allow users to kind of cycle through those. So there's a lot you can do with tabs, and there's a lot you can fit on a page using tabs. And it's just really fun to play with because not only can you just add, text and images and stuff like that, but any of the widgets really. If you wanted to, you could even, combine this with calendars. And you could have calendars specific to, upcoming courses or upcoming webinars or upcoming, drip feeds. So you can actually separate the calendar, right, based on the tab that the user's on. Again, just to do a little bit more customization and make things easier. All right, and then let's take a look at the next one, which I believe is Accordions. Accordions are pretty similar to tabs. You can see you can actually come in here. You can change the order of the accordions. You can add additional accordions here. And then you can either view it as expanded or collapsed. And as a user clicks on this, it's actually going to increase. And then whatever you have down here under the accordion will be displayed. So again, just another nice way of adding a lot of stuff and a lot of information in a small area for your users. So this is really good for FAQs or quick questions, or even different, different little like areas that you want to create under each accordion. But another way to help kind of engage your users and give them something that is actually functional on your site without having to know any web development whatsoever. And I think that was the last of the widgets, but let's just double check here, and then I will move on to the actual Popup Builder. Yeah, I think that was all the widgets that we had covered today: the calendars, the tabs, the accordions, the event calendars, and of course the text. So let's go ahead back into that slide deck. And let's actually take a look at pop-ups. Pop-ups can be very powerful, and they can also be very annoying if they're not used correctly, right? So when you are using a pop-up, it's important for you to understand, how you're using it before you actually set up the pop-up. There's a lot of different pop-ups and different types of pop-ups that you can build in LearnWorlds. So they're kind of a love-hate relationship for a lot of people, but pop-ups are actually remarkably effective at collecting leads and notifying users about specific events in your school. So you can actually have pop-ups that will target individual users based on a tag that you've given them, right? Or based on whether they're enrolled or, signed in or signed out. So the first pop-up we want to take a look at today is going to be, oh, hold on, I'm sorry, I got backtracked here. So let's talk a little bit about pop-ups before we jump into it here. So a pop-up is actually a window that appears on top of page content. Okay, so we're all very familiar with them. If you think back in the days of AOL, I probably just aged myself a little bit there, but pop-ups were rampant. Every time you went to a website, you would get like 5 or 6 pop-ups about some type of product that they were trying to sell. So I want you to kind of think about this though. So are pop-ups actually helping? So AppSumo analyzed, 1.7 billion pop-ups, okay? The top performers got about 9.3%, while the average conversion rate was about 3.1%. So let's say, to put it in a perspective, let's say you have 10,000 visitors on your site monthly, okay? So that means a top performing pop-up that you've created would pull in 930 conversions for you, whether that's signing up for a newsletter, signing up for a course, adding their email to your notification page, wherever you're trying to accomplish with a pop-up, this 930 conversions for you. If you were just doing average, you would still get 310 conversions. That's still a lot. Think about if you charged, $10 a course and you had 310 people show up to that course and enroll in it due to a pop-up that you created. There's a lot of conversion there, and there's some good turnover for just having a single pop-up that took you, 5 minutes to create. So how do you become a top performer? It's important that your pop-ups are relevant. Take the context and the audience into consideration, okay? Who are these pop-ups targeting? You don't want to just have a pop-up come out that is, about a random course that you have, and the users are more interested in like science, right? Using tags in LearnWorlds will actually allow you to target specific users with pop-ups. So if you have science courses and you've tagged your users when they sign up to the platform with science, you could potentially have courses or pop-ups that will advertise specific science courses to those users, okay? Don't have pop-ups just pop up immediately when you load into a page. Give your user 5 to 10 seconds to actually look around and get done what they need to do, especially if it's their after login page. They're just logging into the platform. They're starting to go through what they want, checking their messages, checking out their courses, checking out their event calendar. You don't want to have a pop-up just automatically shoot out at them. You maybe give them 10, 30 seconds before you actually display the pop-up. Next, you want to offer something valuable, right? Why is this pop-up coming up? If you sign up for this particular pop-up, you can get 10% discount off of your next course with this code. Okay, that's a good way of offering something valuable for a user to give you something that you want, like an email or sign up or some type of conversion. Match the pop-up design with your brand. So again, you don't want to have a pop-up that just kind of seems out of place, right? Use your brand colors, make it look like it's part of your site so that it doesn't look like it's just standing out and it's a random pop-up thrown at your user. Next, match the call to offer or the CTA and the offer. So if you're offering 20% off of somebody's first course, if they sign up for the newsletter, right? That's fine. You want to make sure that what you're asking the user to provide you is going to basically be worth what you're offering them in return. Okay. And then lastly, check your analytics. We actually allow you to collect analytics with your pop-ups on the system. So you can actually tell when a user views your pop-up. You can tell if a user actually clicks on the call to action and converts. And you can tell if the user just kind of closes it after a few seconds. It's going to give you all that information. So analyze the analytics, find the pop-ups that are working, copy those pop-ups. However, if you find a pop-up that's not working, stop using it. It's just getting annoying and it's in the way, right? So again, analyze your analytics. All right, so let's take a look at an example here. Let's take a look at lead capture. Okay, so the goal here with this particular pop-up is to collect a lead, okay? The message is when an individual live yoga session, right? So there's a call to action. It's probably going to be a button here that says I'm in. We're probably most likely going to involve a widget here. So this is the email grabber widget. These widgets actually allow your users to put their name, their last name, even their email into a particular input. And that will actually collect that and go to your leads pages. So again, when they click that information and they say, here's my info, you could send them something in your email, giving them a code to access your school for a free live yoga session, okay? You want to have it appear in the center for this particular pop-up for the audience that is logged out, right? This is for your users that are not already enrolled in your school. You're trying to grab people as leads so that you can get them to enroll, okay? So this would be, your audience right here would be for logged out users. The trigger that you could set here would be, 10 seconds after a page loads, or, maybe on your course in your blog pages. A backdrop would be applied here. So backdrops actually have a layer of color behind the pop-up that actually stops the user from having the ability to actually click on anything behind that pop-up. So if you want to apply that backdrop, it's going to force the user to take a look at the pop-up and what it says. And then the rules that you want to set here for this particular pop-up are stop appearing after the goal is met. So once that user clicks, enters in their email, gives you their information, and gets their promotional free live yoga session, you want that pop-up not to show again, okay? So let's take a look at what that would look like. As you can see here, we have a widget that we've placed here. We've also placed some text up here that will allow a user, when it pops up, to share their information. They can click I'm in. We'll grab their email address. This will go to your leads pages within LearnWorlds so that you can properly reach out to these individuals. And you can see this nice backdrop that we have here. So it actually blanks out a little bit of what's going on back there. And to get out of this, I would need to X out, right? All right, next example we want to take a look at is an increased conversion rate. So we're going to start the first cohort with a good number of students. We want a message to go out that will pre-launch offer of 10% off if you sign up now, get your discount now. The widget we're going to use is the rocket animation. The appearance is what would show in the bottom left. The audience, we want to show this to all of our users. The trigger would be 10 seconds after the page loads, anywhere on our site, no backdrop, and stop appearing after the goal is met. So let's take a look at what that would look like as well. So you can see here, new course pre-launch promo. If you sign up today, you get 50% off. You can click here to get my discount. That's going to enroll them in that particular course, right? They purchase the course now, they get a nice 50% discount. Okay, this is going to go out to all of your users. so that you can properly get a pre-launch of a course going. Next, let's take a look at the welcome and communicate with visitors. Okay, so this is always a great example, and I love giving this one to my users and my customers when I'm working for them. Let's say you have a brand new user sign up to your site, and they go into they sign into the school, and they get to your after login page, and now they have no clue where to go. It's nice if you could have a pop-up that would appear with a video that actually introduces them to the platform and where they can go. It's not just a promotional thing. This is actually a nice, helpful thing. The first time as a user, I log into your school, I'm gonna get a video here telling me this is how I navigate the site. So you can see that we're gonna use a video widget. We're gonna have a nice message here. It says, welcome, let's get started. It's gonna be the full page. It's for anyone that is new for the first time entering your school. The trigger, the first time they log in, appear immediately. So this is one of those cases where you would want a pop-up to show as soon as somebody logs in, right? Backdrop, yes, and do not appear after the goal is met. So let's take a look at what something like that would look like. So as you can see here, as a user, I log in, and this comes up. Welcome to the most advanced UX school. Now I click here, I get a nice little introduction to the school, what it's about, where I can go. And then when I'm done, I click, let's start learning now. And then that pop-up will never show again. But now I've been oriented to your school, and you've welcomed me with a nice, kind video as opposed to just having me enter the school and trying to figure out where I'm supposed to go from there. See you soon. These are fun pop-ups. When a user goes to leave your site, you can actually have a pop-up come up when they go to X out of your site that says, hey, before you leave. So in this in this example, we want to do a conversion here. We want to give them a heavy discount if they sign up. So if the user is going to leave your page before they sign up, they click here. Hey, if you sign up now, we're going to give you a nice discount. Widgets would be a button. Appearance in the center for users who are logged out, who are leaving the site, with a backdrop, and then stop showing again after the goal is met. So let's take a look at that. So you can see 1 month free membership, try out all of our classes. Now this is when the user, came up here and went to go X out. Before they X'd out, this little pop-up came up and said, before you leave, try some of our other classes. So grab the offer. This could be a 30% discount. It could be a 50% discount. Whatever you want to give to make sure that user doesn't go away and they sign up to your course. Let's see, we're here at 7:43. Before we jump into site flavors, let me just actually show you what the pop-up widget or the Popup Builder actually looks like in LearnWorlds. So I could manage my pop-ups from here, or I can create a brand new pop-up. But you can see I can come in here. There's a number of templates that have already been created for me. Now, these are templates. They can be edited. They can be changed. You can add things. You can remove things. But it's a nice way to get started, right? So we have templates for offers and coupons, on exit intent, right? Notifications and announcements. Hey, the live session has been postponed. Click here to see the new date. You can have pop-ups for really any type of announcement. The teacher has canceled the course for today. The live session has been scheduled for this date, right? Video pop-ups. Again, that was what we saw with that welcome introduction orientation video, and welcome user pop-ups, right? So a nice little menu that could pop up and give a couple different options for a user when they enter the site for the first time. But any of these, when you click on them, we're going to give it a name here. So we'll call this one webinar pop-up. I'm going to put it in draft mode, but I'm going to create this now. So as you can see here, it takes me into the site editor, similar to what we just saw. I have a couple different elements here, and I can always, delete things that I don't want. I can add something else here. Maybe I want to add like a video, right? So I could come down here to screens and add a nice little video in here. Okay. I know it's a little small, but I could also have this video, where is it here? I know there's an option. There we go. Pop up on click. So when the user clicks this, it's going to pop up full screen. Okay. get started. So here's our call to action. I can come in here to actions and actually say when they click this, the goal is met. Okay. Now I can come in here in my pop-up settings. Let's look at the audience here. Some of the settings I have here. So target audience. Who am I targeting with this pop-up? I can do logged out users, logged in users, and users, but again, with a specific tag. So if I have an employee and I want to send a message to my employees when they log in, if I have them tagged with employee, this will only target those users. I can even choose what device I want this pop-up to show on, whether it's a mobile phone or an iPad, where to show it on the entire site, on my blog post. I can even do specific pages in my school, right? Maybe I want this to show up on the after login page or the contact page. When to show it. Here are my triggers that I can add. When the page is loaded, on a page scroll, if the user is inactive, or on exit intent. So let's say the page is loaded after 10 seconds. Rules. Show after the goal is met. No, I want that to turn off once the goal is met so the user doesn't get bombarded, but I can show only once. Or I can have a rule for expiration date or repeat every 2 days. But there's a couple different options you can set here. So you can see you can have very targeted pop-ups, and they're not hard to create. All of this is editable. And I can add images, I can add buttons, I can really create pop-ups for every different occasion that I need, and I can engage my users, okay? All right. The last thing we're going to take a look at today before I stop for any questions, and I'm sure there's a ton of questions because we covered a lot, is site flavors. So site flavors actually allows you to create a different version of your site. So if I actually come out here, and I'll just show you this live because it's a little easier than just talking about it. Site flavors, let's discard my changes here. All right. So let's say I have a holiday coming up. Something like Christmas or the 4th of July. And I want to modify my site so that it meets that holiday standards, right? Let's say, all right, let's use 4th of July since it just happened. So red, white, and blue, fireworks, everything, Uncle Sam, everything 4th of July, right? I could actually take my site, which you can see is live right now, and I could clone it. And when I clone my site, I could go and make changes in the site editor here. Let's say this is the clone site. I can make changes to this site to make it red, white, and blue, to put firework images and all that kind of stuff. So I don't actually have to modify my normal site while it's live. And what I can actually do is when I'm ready on the 4th of July, I can click here and it will switch the site over to my 4th of July site. And then when the 4th of July is over, I can come back here and I can reactivate my old site flavor. So I can have different versions of my website and always have my live version, which won't be interrupted while I'm designing the other ones. So site flavors is pretty cool because it allows you to actually change your site for different occasions. So again, everything we saw tonight is going to help you engage your users. And there's really a lot more that you can do on the platform, especially in the site builder, especially with widgets that are going to help you engage your users. What we saw tonight was just a few examples of some of the newer stuff that has been introduced to the platform. But everything that we've built within the platform is going to help you bring users from just going to your site and visiting your site. They're going to help you engage them. They're going to help you generate leads. They're going to help you grow your courses overall. So engagement is key for your school's growth. You want to make sure that you can identify and profile your audience. So remember we asked you those questions about who your audience were. We asked you questions about what is the audience that you're marketing to? What do they expect to see when they come to your site? So these are all really good to know, okay? So you need to identify your audience before you even start building your site out, because you want to make sure you understand their needs and what they want before they actually buy a course, because then you can actually provide that to them. So you need to adapt your messaging. You need to showcase your social proof. I can't say this enough. If you have testimonials, they are the most powerful thing that you can put on your course page. For me, as a user myself, if I go to a school and I find a school that has a ton of reviews and a ton of testimonials and have a lot of people talking about, how great this course was for them, I'm more likely to buy that course. Social proofing is so important in these days and ages. Many of us don't even go to get a haircut anymore without going to Google reviews and checking out how many reviews have been there for that haircut. You need to personalize the content for your audience, right? So with pop-ups, target specific groups or segments that you have created in your school based off of the tags that you have placed there. That way you can showcase science courses to your science individuals, or you can showcase the things that, the math pop-ups to individuals who are interested in math. Make sure that you are personalizing the content. Encourage interaction with your site via multimedia, images, videos, event calendars, tabs, accordions, anything you can put on your site to help engage your users, do it. It's only going to help grow your user base. And then lastly, run special promos. So exclusive offers, click here, you get a nice little discount. Downloads, come download our free our ebook by joining, our free course. Free course sections, anything you can do to promote your courses. You can actually have a paid course and have a section that is free, so that a user can actually try the first section before they actually buy the whole course. Whatever you could think of for promos, that's going to help you bring in more users and grow your courses as well. So all of this can be done with the site builder. All of this can be done on the platform. If you haven't checked out any of our free trials, if you haven't checked out our webinar on the site builder or a webinar on course building, you're doing yourself an in-service. You need to go check those out. Thank you all for coming tonight. I really appreciate you taking the time. I am going to ask, we have about 7 minutes left, and I see some people are leaving.